Hello, welcome to Exotic Gardening with Yorkshire Kris. On this week's episode, we're going to be having a closer look at my arid desert area, part of the garden, look at the plants I've chosen to plant in this area, how they've fared in their first year planted out, and possibly how I'm going to protect them over winter as well. So, we say it's the arid part of the garden, but as you can see here, as we approach the end of October 2023, got lots of lush planting, and that is because this was a tropical bed last year, so you got lots of these colocasia pink chinas that are looking very good. And I'm also filming a video on arid plants on a day when it's been thick fog and pretty cold, 7-8 degrees all day, so probably not the best conditions to be filming an arid bed, but you know, a garden isn't just for summer, it is for all year round. And my garden, I want to look good all year round, including in winter. So that is the joy of having a backbone of evergreen plants, including this big Jabea palm here. So for those that don't watch my videos regularly, I had lots of wooden paths like the one I'm on here. This is made out of decking and railway sleepers underneath the decking to raise the soil level. And this was like a crisscrossing area all through this part of the garden. But as the plants have matured, especially this big Jabea, it was pretty much impossible to keep walking down the paths without getting your head or other parts of your body facing lots of leaves and spines and spikes from the arid plants around the corner. So the decision was made at the start of 2023 to completely change this area, and I've actually put in these gravel paths going around, although you can't quite see it at this moment in time because you've got these echiums that have grown huge. These were grown from seed, and these do like this open sunny habitat. But you can see I've added loads of gravel all over here, and as we go round you'll be able to see the gravel path on this side as well, and this gravel path goes all the way round. Still got some gingers and things here, but if I sweep round, so that's the path going round, and if we pan across, this is a main arid bed. So let's take a closer look at some of the plants in this area, starting off with this European fan palm, this cerifera. This is Chimerops humilis cerifera, nice bluish leaves, quite a low growing specimen here, and it's growing out in all directions, and it likes this open area. And this was a plant that I got from the Palm Centre about 8-9 years ago, and it was planted out here about 8 years ago in this position, and it's very slowly grown to cover this area. It's not got any height on it, but it is definitely nice and wide now. It's about 1.5 to 2 meters across with many growing heads, and this plant cost about £30, £35 when I got it, so not too expensive, and it's a nice evergreen plant that looks good all year round. Here next to it we have got a Yucca lineafolia or linearis, and this is huge now. So this is standing about 1.7 meters tall and about 1.7 meters wide, so a big dome of spiky foliage. And again, it likes this nice free draining soil, and this year it's grown pretty well. But if I have a closer look, last winter did cause it to get some marks on some of the leaves in the centre. So you've got some brownish marks in a line, some of those, but you can't really see them from distance, and all the new foliage is definitely made up for it. And this is a quick growing plant. This has grown nice and tall and wide over the last 5 years. It's only been planted out, you know, about 5-6 years now, and it's grown really well in that time. But I did say we planted lots of new plants this year. So if we look across to the right, that is another lineafolia, and that actually is the size that this one was 5 years ago. So you can see them both in shot side by side, That's how quickly they can grow in 4 or 5 years. So they're pretty good, quick growing plants given the right conditions. This one actually was a pup of one that rotted away, and then we had 2 or 3 pups, and I've planted them out this year. So we've got one here, and we've got one behind the Jabea, which we'll have a look at in a second. I did put a few smaller succulent or arid plants in this bed this year. One of them being this polyphylla, aloe polyphylla, and it looks okay. It's not the healthiest specimen in the world. We'll just zoom in on that. And that will be sort of covered with a rain shelter very, very soon, because we've just had a colossal amount of rain over the last few days. Over the weekend, it was crazy. It was about, I think it was 85 millimeters on the Friday, and it continued to rain on the Saturday as well. So an exceptional rainfall total. So this will be covered very, very soon. We've also got a nice cacti, a hardy cacti here. I've got 3 or 4 of these, a couple are planted out. One's been planted out for a number of years, and it's not particularly put on much height yet. But these were grown from tiny seedlings about 10, 11 years ago, and they've slowly grown into these small, stout columns. They've got a little succulent growing by the side of it as well. Over in the distance, if we just get a bit closer, we've got another aloe polyphylla, but this one is not faring too well. So if you just go around the corner, you can see on this one, it's rotting away. So it really didn't like being planted out this year. I planted it at an angle for the drainage on these rocks here, but the centre of it, if I get closer, you can see it's not going to survive. It's sort of blackened off, rotting away, unfortunately. To the side of it, we've got a little agave, so that will be protected very soon, and hopefully that will get through its first winter in the ground. And to the right of that, we've got much bigger agaves that have been out for many years. So we've got the Americana and we've got the Montanas. The Montanas, this one was very small, had this for about 12, 13 years. So when they first came on the market, as a tiny, less than a litre plant, I think it was a 9 centimetre pot. And then a bit of a larger one here. And this came a couple of years later, so it's about 10, 11 years old as a slightly bigger plant, but they're pretty much both the same sort of size now. And they could be close to flowering, so I expect in a couple of years these will flower and then die. But when they flower, it'll be a very interesting spectacle to see that huge flower spike form and go high into the sky. And these are in the most coarse gravel here, so it's in sort of 5-10 millimetre gravel, basalt gravel, topped up with pea shingle this year. Because I've put pea shingle all over these beds this year just to give it a nice uniform appearance, aid that drainage, and also allow heat in the ground as well. Because when the sun hits this stone, it stores it for a long time and then gives back that heat in the evening and overnight as well. We've also got some agave. So these agave Americana variegata will not survive if it's a very cold winter, but if it's a mild winter, they will do fine. I'll put a rain shelter on these very soon. You can see how they've pupped and spread about this area as well. So that is the linifolia again, the other view. In between those linifolias, you've got a bit of ginger rhizome that appeared when I dug up the path over there. I must have chucked a bit of soil with a bit of rhizome, and it's grown without any water, and not grown as well as the ones that I've watered, but it's still managed to grow, survive the summer, and actually flower as well, albeit a bit stunted. If we just head back over here, we've got a cacti that should be very hardy. This is the first year it's been planted out for me, and this is Opuntia shearii, so big pads here, and it's grown sort of half a pad so far this year, and it's been surrounded by agapanthus, got the Jabea in the background, and we've also got some arisemas, which really shouldn't go next to the cacti, but there you go, seems to be working. And this again is in very good free draining soil, although there is some soil here rather than just gravel because it was near the Jabea. So there is some soil under this gravel, whereas in other areas it's just pure gravel and nothing else. If we look round, we've got some sempervinums down there, and they'll just get on with it. They're flowered, they multiply and spread slowly, so they're nice. And over here we have got an agave, which I think I could put a shelter over it, or I could dig it up, because it's not grown too much yet, and it's quite a small, it's not the hardest type. This is Weberi, so it will grow big in time with shelter and mild winters. But if we don't get mild winters, especially when it's this size, then it might not get through. Once it grows bigger, it will survive outside much more reliably. But for now, it's pretty small, so I'm in two minds whether to dig this up, pot it up for winter, and then plant it back out next year, and hopefully it'll grow big enough to survive outside. So we'll see what I do with that one. And above that, we've got the other Yucca linifolia, which is pupping itself as well. So that's, again, just been planted out this year. So it's got a long way to go to, size up as big as a big blue one that I just showed you earlier. And you can see behind it all those echiums and the view down to the palms and bamboo beyond. Under there as well, we've got quite a few aeoniums, but they've been swamped out by the echium, so they'll be getting dug up soon anyway for winter, and they'll be potting them up and planting them in different locations next year. If we just stand up and I go backwards, you'll be able to see this huge yucca, big meaty one. This is Yucca faxona. This is a big spaggy yucca that will grow several meters tall. At the moment, it's about 1.5 meters tall by at least that wide, getting close to 2 meters wide. That seems to be very hardy indeed. That's been planted out now for about 5-6 years, and it's done really, really well. Established itself, grown, at least doubled in size. We'll have to look back at how big it was when we planted it, but it's very secure in the ground, pushing out lots of new leaves all year round, but obviously especially in summer. We've also got a Desilarion here, which was bought as Glycophyllum, although some debate whether or not that is. And that's been hard. It's got these twisted, contorted leaves with these spines on the side margins of the leaves as well. You never know which way it's going to grow. It did, when I got it, have a separate head that had just flowered, and then it sort of split, and this is like the second head that came off, and the original head sort of died back. So this is why it's a funny sort of angle, not growing straight up. To the left of that, we have got this, another European fan palm, but this one's Chemops vulcano, so it has a wider leaves, far fewer spines on it. And this cost £25. This was from my palm shop when you could buy from Europe. That was a small plant. I think it was in a 4-litre pot. And again, that was planted out about 8 years ago now. And that is doing really well, nice and healthy. And that's, again, just growing in pure gravel for 30 centimetres before you get down to the original topsoil in the garden. Through here, we've got some aeoniums. To show you those. We've got the echiums as well, but we've got aeoniums down here. We've got various ones in this area. There's a nice darker leaved aeonium just there. Got some more colourful types, Mardi Gras over there as well, and another cacti that's been out for a number of years, just slowly getting on with it underneath that bamboo ceiling which needs to be moved. And then I think we've only got a couple more plants in this area to show you. I think the main one is the Briar amata. So even on this dark, gloomy autumn day where it's foggy still, I think it still shines through the beautiful silvery blue leaves of Briar amata. This was bought as a very small palm, cost £25-30 about 12-13 years ago, and now it stands at 2 meters tall, 2.5 meters wide, And if we go around, I think I'll go around this way. We'll get a closer look at the trunk. And on the way there, another plant which I've just planted out this year is this small Agave bractosa, which should be nice and hardy just here. But let's look at the trunk of the briar. So that's a nice, thick, solid trunk. It was very wobbly when planted, but over the years, by putting some rocks on 3 sides, it stabilised it. Now there's roots coming from all around the base of the trunk, and it's nice and stable in the ground. And we've got those wonderful leaves, and although it's pretty slow growing, we've got lots of nice growth from that, and it grows from spring right through to the end of autumn. And to the left of the palm, we've got this Agave Lophanthera hybrid, which I don't think many people have. And that was planted out as a very small Agave, as a trial, as an experiment, and it's sailed through all the winters. And it's just something a bit different Agave with small red marginal teeth and sort of a variegated stripe in the centre of the leaves as well. And that's done really well. So talking about winter protection, the Agaves here, the Montanas, and also the Americana, which we didn't really look at, they'll be protected with a perspex sheet over the top. But the palm trees, the briar and marta palm tree, we've also got the Ceriferas, we looked at a couple of those, Desalarion and the Yuccas. None of these will be protected over winter, and they'll look good all year round. It's one of my favourite parts of the garden, this, even on a dark, gloomy day at the end of October. So in terms of the soil, like I said, it is pure gravel on the whole, although there's some soil mixed in with the gravel underneath the Jubea area, but everywhere else, just pure gravel. I moved about 20, maybe 30 tons of gravel into this area over the years, just to add the drainage and add the height as well. So a lot of effort into soil preparation, but I think it's worth it. So you can grow lots of these arid desert style plants. So if you've got any questions about growing these plants, especially if you live in the northern climates like I do here in Yorkshire in the UK, I'll happily answer them. Just put them in the comments below, or join me on my Q&A live streams and I can answer questions there as well. So you can answer any questions on arid plants, soil types, positioning, and varieties that might be suitable for your location. So thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening. Join me next time. We'll be doing more in the garden.